Welcome to the Dr. Maya podcast, where we challenge the norms of healthcare, empower people to take control of their health, and redefine the future of medicine.
Life was given to us 1 billion years ago. What have we done with it?
Without knowing who I am, what I do, and why I am doing it.
I've given them a little bit of a...
Right. So what happens is treatment depends upon which drug I give, what type of drug it is, because it has to be either acidic or alkaline, because the absorption has to be okay, and when to give the drug. Should it be given before food, after food, with food, and what dose you should give. I'll give an example of anemia. They would have given her lots of iron tablets. Iron absorption depends upon the acidity of the stomach, because iron, to absorb, it should be in an ionized state, otherwise it cannot. It's like some fat lady wants to come through this room, she cannot. You have to be slim. So what that acid does is it takes away all the fat, makes them slim so that it should come in. And you should take twice a day to start with, and then 3 weeks later you have to check the blood, and then 6 weeks later you have to check the blood again. So when it comes in, this is like production of something, factory. One, you should have the raw material. Number two, the raw material should be used in the proper lathe or machine to make the product. Number three, it should be usable. So absorption problem ಆದರೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದೇ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಅದು iron ಹೆಂಗೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ? It can't make hemoglobin.
With all the treatments, the hair started falling here.
That's true. That is associated with it. Alopecia. That happens. So the thing is, but it's not only iron. You need vitamin B as well onto it. People don't realize that. So they will not give because they haven't understood. 3 weeks ante yaake helide? Because the hemoglobin takes 6 weeks RBC life cycle. So RBC production agi 6 weeks nalli satogutte, odagogutte, tirgi it's utilized. But 3 weeks nalli I can make out whether the iron is working well or not, because reticulocytes anta helbittu ಸಣ್ಣ hemoglobin ಇರಬಹುದು, ದೊಡ್ಡ hemoglobin ಇರುತ್ತೆ. It's got a nucleus. So reticulocyte count ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ that means to say his iron absorption is good, manufacturing is also good, but is it distracted? Because if it is too big, sometimes it gets broken down before it forms the proper hemoglobin. So then I will start looking at why it is sequestrating. So basically you have to have a clear picture of what you're doing. But majority of the doctors these days, they have only this protocol. Oh, hemoglobin is so much, 8.3 less, you have to put them on iron. Hemoglobin, this thing, you should do blood transfusion. How many people are treated like that? Because blood transfusion is not a joke, because you get lots of diseases. HIV ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೆಂಡ್ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡೋದು. See, our responsibility is not just treat it immediately. You have to think about what's the consequences in the next 10 years. I always said, we have a huge responsibility. We are not treating patients to cure them. We are here to prevent complications. God only cures the people. People think, oh, you have to save life. I mean, if there is anybody on earth who can say, I have saved thousands of lives, it's me. Why? Because every day I was resuscitating patient. How many doctors here can come and tell me how many babies or children you have resuscitated every day? I can say average 10. So my role was to be precise, because if I do a single mistake, everything goes wrong. The child is going to be mentally retarded throughout the life. So I had a huge responsibility on my head. That's why I was defending my ethics, because that is the one which protects me. It's not to impress you or impress him or impress anybody. I have to impress my own heart. I have to tell my heart, yeah, I've done the good job. Otherwise, it's just like going and murdering somebody and living in a guilt. Somebody said, how do you cope? I said, how do I cope? There are two ways I cope. One, I say, I justify my reason. I said, I did everything possible, but something went wrong, it's not beyond my head. I'm all right. The other one is called denial. I totally deny it. Yeah, yesterday the child died, fine, finished, no problem. But it is not the solution. Now I am saying I have to rectify my error, because these two doesn't finish there. I know we created superbugs. We gave antibiotics unnecessarily because that was the standard treatment at that time. 90s nalle, any baby comes in, any child comes in for operation, post-operation, everything. We gave 2 antibiotics, penicillin and vancomycin. Standard. Whether they need it or not, we have to give it. Why? Because we were told that if we don't give it, they'll get infected and they'll die. Then you are held responsible. So the court will find me. Oh, why didn't you give the antibiotic? I didn't give because there was no infection. How do you know? You understand? So I have to do the blood test. So the whole situation was created by the system, which has destroyed people like me. I am alive today and I can tell you all this because I have seen everything in the last 40 years. It is changed from day to day. ನೀವು ಬರ್ತೀರಾ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ತೊಂಡೆ ಗಾರ್ಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸಾಲ್ಟು ಒಂದು 3-4 ದಿವಸ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಬನ್ನಿ ಅಂತೀನಿ. ನೀವು ಹೋಗ್ತೀರಾ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯು ಟ್ರಸ್ಟ್ ಮೀ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ 3 days later ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಗಾನ್, ಯು ಫೈನ್. ಇವಾಗ ಹಂಗಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಹೋಗಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಬೇಕೋ ಬೇಡೋ ನಿಮಗೆ ತಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು 3-4 ದಿವಸ ಆ್ಯಂಟಿಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಕೊಡೋದು. ಅವಾಗೇನು ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ನೀವು ಊಟ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ 9 ಗಂಟೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು 9 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ತಿನ್ನೋದು. ವೈ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇ ಪುಟ್ ದ ಫಿಯರ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಯು ಗೋನ್ ಟು ಡೈ ಅಂತ. ಇವಾಗ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಅಡ್ವರ್ಟೈಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೆಂಡ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ನ್ಯೂಮೋನಿಯಾ ಬರುತ್ತಂತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನ್ಯೂಮೋನಿಯಾಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಸತ್ತೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರಂತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಚಾರಿಟಿ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ. ಎನಿ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಇಲ್ನೆಸ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಇನ್, ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಒನ್ ಬಿಗ್ ಚಾರಿಟಿ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್. ಹೂ ಇಸ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ದ ಮನಿ? The people who run the business. People are not getting that money.
Epidemic also India aitalla.
Epidemic is a big disaster. That is why I am here. I can't make the white fellows change their mind, honestly, because they are firmly thinking we are the smartest on earth. Okay? They will never. How can an Indian tell me this? And I am not a big professor. Okay? I am just a little doctor who did work. Why did I do the work? Because I want to get the Nobel Prize. I want to find a cure for antibiotic resistance. So my wife threw me out, my friends threw me out. I said, I don't care. After I die, people will remember who I am. If I succeed, I'll get the Nobel Prize. If I don't succeed, fine, I have at least tried. Because that is what is necessary. We need to do something right now. We can't postpone it and expect everything to be. So I have explained to you how things were, how things we did.
I think I should have recorded your speech.
Conversation.
How I'm recording it here.
Okay.
Yeah. So how is it going to be in the next generation? Albert Einstein said, intuition is a gift from God. Intuitive mind. Yeah, I have an intuitive mind. Even people in UK who wanted to do something, the great professors who was trying to get the Nobel Prize used to come and ask me, Sri, what do you think about this? Why are the babies becoming premature anemia? I am such a bold fellow, I would come out with my own theory. Because when the babies were born, in the first 8 weeks, they become very anemic. And there are lots of theories, everybody said. But I used to come out with a theory. One day I asked this professor, so why are you asking me? He said, Shri, you have an hypothetical brain. I didn't know what it was, but it's true. Everybody is saying there is one door over there, right? But I say, no, there is another door here. I can see it.
Just one second. Yes, sir.
Just because you can't see it doesn't mean to the
It's copy, right?
doesn't
Yes, sir.
exist.
Yes, sir.
So
Thank you.
So if you look at a hypothetical brain, it's like me saying based on intuition that there is a door here. And then what happens is either I have to prove that the door is there by scientific means or disprove it. So if I prove there is a door here, then I have told them there is a second channel. So people accept there is a second door, that's why this chemical reactions happens like that. And that's a hypothetical brain. And based on that, all the researches are created. So they used to listen to me. And that's how I got involved with all sorts of product development and these things, and I used to advise. Because in India, they never tell you that you have to take a patent, you have to protect your ideas and all that. And you can't use it. Why? Oh, that thing is difficult to maneuver. Finished. Okay? And they go back and look into the why is it happening. They find out with other people, and other doctors also say experience. Then they change it. They come out with a new product, and it takes over the world. When I came with a new idea to India, only thing they asked me all the time was, "Are they using it in England?" I said no. Are they using it in America? No. Oh, then we can't do it. Why? Because we can't sell it to them. I said, you bloody idiots. If you manufacture a product which they need, they will be standing in a queue here to buy our products. You have to think. We have to be creative. We have to do it. So many beautiful products that there are a couple of products right now I'm working with some other people, which still there is an opening, okay? Because nobody has ever invented that kind of a thing. I had world patents on it, but I am working on that on a sideline. Somebody, your team is there, we can expand this into manufacturing products because I have contacts who will do that. So that is the way, the future, he said, the world is ruled by a rational mind as our leaders. Rational minds are people who say, oh, we can do this because it's been scientifically proved. This is happening. You have to do the COVID test because that's what the WHO says. They haven't tried to find out what are the problems in advising people to get the test. It's very easy to say, yeah, go do the test. Find whether you're positive or negative. But what are you doing? You're making the patient go out of the house with his COVID infection, because he will not just go and do COVID test when he's not symptomatic. Only he has a symptom. He has fever, a sore throat. He thinks, oh, I might have COVID. Then he runs to the place. He's sitting in the bus giving it to everybody. He's in the train. He's in the hospital with the crowd. So COVID is spreading everywhere just to get the test. And the people who are honest, who have gone in with nothing, they just gone in there and don't have COVID, they've gone in, they all get COVID infections. His family gets COVID infections. So this is what I figured out in 1989. I said, the only way you can, that is based on experiments. Like when in a unit like this, about 4 times the size, we had 6 ventilators, room, patients. So if one person gets a superbug infection, within 2-3 days, everybody gets the infection. Everybody gets the infection. Why? Because the nurse who comes in the morning, she washes hand, but she doesn't know how to wash the hand because nobody has taught them how to wash the hand. And then does all this. Then she goes from this patient to that patient to another patient. Every time she's washing. First time she'll wash for 1 minute. Second time, she'll push, spray and go. As I told you, the spray doesn't kill anything. The bacteria are there. It kills only good germs. Bad germs are colonized. She goes and touches that. Everybody. Then what I did, because I was managing the patients, I could put my foot down and take decisions on this. I said, no, if the patient gets infected, he must be in a different room, outside in a different place. First I tried that, in a different room. But the doctors and nurses were going there and coming here. Then I realized it's a bit of a disaster, because these patients, even though they're isolated, the doctors and nurses are giving it to them. Then I said, no, a doctor who treats that patient, and the nurse who treats the patient goes home. Because every time you touch a patient, you go near a patient, you do anything to a patient, you're not taking a shower, you're not changing your clothes. In COVID time, they said 2.5 meters. Yeah? But what about a doctor and a patient?
Sir, what the gloves doesn't have?
Gloves is another problem. They keep the gloves there, right? It is not a sterile gloves. It is kept there in a box. I take it and put it in. So gloves has got plastic. What do you think will attack into that? Dusting hakadrene hoga adu antkodutte. Bacteria are stuck on it, because outside the gloves bacteria colonizes. So I am putting the gloves, but outside full of germs on it. It is not protecting the patient. It's only protecting me, minimal, because bacteria might be inside also. Got it? So I have sat in the unit and observed everything. So I can see the bacteria in a different way. I was chairing a conference in in Rome. One of the professors asked me, you're telling all these things, how is that you're so sure about it? I didn't know how to explain it to him. I said, are you religious? He said, yes. He said, okay, so you believe in God? I said, yes. Why do you believe in God? Have you seen it? No, I believe in God. I'm very religious. I said like that, I believe bacteria are my ancestors, but I have seen them because they created us. Bacteria are necessary for us to survive. They go in, they come out, they're like army. And the bacteria which you have on your body comes from your mother. Do you know the difference between bacteria, virus and fungus? No, you have to understand this. Bacteria, huh? Yeah, parala. And I'm used to this kind of a thing. Bacteria are like animals, the smallest animal on earth. It needs oxygen, it needs food, it needs to multiply. So, but only thing is they live for 20 minutes. Okay? They are everywhere. In other words, we are swimming in an ocean filled with bacteria, viruses, fungus, oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen. They are all atoms, single molecules. This space is not empty, it is full of these things. 76% of this area is covered with virus. So what is virus? Virus is a piece of a DNA. DNA is the genes. It has what is known as RNA or some are DNA. And it is like sand. It does not, it can't multiply on its own. It floats around, and I always call virus as the computer updaters. Because the genes is made up of 4 amino acids. So the virus you need, because a little bit of RAM kind of a thing comes in. So the bacteria will go there and fix it. So it changes the genetic code. You need this virus and the bacteria. And the virus, when it comes in, it multiplies inside a cell. It cannot live on its own. So it is sand. And you breathe in and out every second. Because 76% of the space contains viruses. Funguses are the smallest plant. And all these 3 have taken origin from a bacteria known as prokaryotes. Prokaryote is a single cell organism which has lived for billions of years. It has seen dinosaurs, it has seen everybody, all the types of human beings. And they are still existing as they were. It's a single cell organism, and that is the bacteria. Okay? So now we know the difference. Bacteria and viruses and fungus, they are different. Funguses don't grow if the temperature goes too high. That's why penicillin, when it was invented, nobody could culture the penicillin. Because the fungus, they were keeping it in normal temperature for bacteria, and that was too high. So when it cools down, they multiply like mad. That's why in the toilet and all you can see, humid areas, women having it in thrush, axilla, where it is oxygen is less because it needs carbon dioxide to make photosynthesis, the food. They can't live very much with oxygen. Plants need carbon dioxide. So viruses are non-living. So you cannot heat them, you cannot kill them. When I graduated, we did not have high-fluent disposable plastic devices. At that time, we still didn't know very much about virus either. So we were doing syringes, heating in the, boiling in the water, autoclaving it. Then suddenly we came to know that there is a virus. So then we started all this new theory about vaccination, new theory about disposable gloves, disposable syringes and things like that. But I have worked before that. So I didn't wear any gloves. I was treating patients with leprosy. I was treating patients with TB, all sorts of infections. Yeah.
But can I interrupt?
Yeah.
But all the non-prakara, this is my guess only. The older people had more immune to all this compared to the new generation.
That's the reason. The thing is, like us, we have multiplied from 2 billion. When I went to England, there were only 2 billion people in the world. But now there are 9 billion in the matter of 30 years. Yeah, it took 200,000 years to come to 2 billion. In the last 40 years, we have multiplied 9 times. Yeah, so just like that, bacteria is also multiplied because every human being carries billions of bacteria.
So there are less prone.
There were not many. Bacteria is thriving. Nobody was throwing chemicals at them to make them angry. We are all sitting here comfortably, right? Somebody keeps coming and putting chemicals on us and suffocating us. How long will you put up with it? Maybe 2 days, 3 days? 4th day you say, you idiot, you're coming, I'm going to come and kill you. That's what the bacteria are doing. They are not our enemy. We are making them angry. Okay? And they're strong, they're powerful. I keep writing articles, please don't throw chemicals at them. We are all sitting here happily. But somebody comes in and throws up different types of gun inside. Maybe I'll sit for about half an hour not touching it. Then I'll be curious, I'll try to pick it up. I say, what the hell is this? What do you do with this? And then I'll get to know what the gun does. So if somebody comes and puts chemical in that, we'll shoot them. So like that, bacteria pick up chemicals which we throw at them. As soon as the chemical goes in, it's a structure. They will break it into atoms. So when the product kotre, reverse engineering. So we just break it and we construct a new thing altogether. So that's what they do, and they do it every 20 minutes. So practically in a matter of one day, they become resistant to that chemical which you already throw. So we cannot kill them. So why I started thinking about this is because I had an intuition. A word called 7I started appearing in front of my eyes, and I thought, bloody hell, I'm going to get retinal detachment. It's called floaters. I read everything. I couldn't find any answers to it. It's not a floater, it's something different. Then I read great scientists and things like that had intuitions, which came as an image, as a dream, and they acted upon it. Ignoring it is easy. Acted upon it. So I went searching for the answer, and I stumbled across this. I had developed Maya, Medical Advice You Access. My idea was to prevent people going to doctor initially to save cost. The poor people shouldn't go to doctor unnecessarily. If I tell them it's okay, it's not serious, don't go, then they won't go, and they'll save money, and they save their life also. But now, because the bacteria are there, if they go, they'll get bacterial infection and it'll be worse. Instead of spending 10,000 rupees, they'll be paying lakhs because the child will be in ventilator. How many people can afford it? So we must try to educate people not to go. So that is the idea, this innovation. I started doing the research. Why are people coming to see me? First I wanted to know. Because there are no studies done, no record. So why he is coming? Then I collected all that for 2-3 years, and then I found out there are 9 symptoms which are important. Then at that time I developed a little fridge magnet, which is just 3 symptoms. I made one big strip of symptoms, and then I put next another same kind of symptoms, another 3 symptoms. And then what happened was I asked the patients to line up the symptoms they have. In other words, you have to just pull it up and down like a little tape. If sore throat, little slot, then another one. Then I color coded them, which I think is serious. Doctor must see. Why should a doctor see this patient? Because that patient needs to be clinically examined. In other words, I have to listen to his chest or examine him by giving him some tests or give him some treatment and see whether that works. So I have to see and decide. So when I looked at it, it was very interesting because 70% of these patients who came to see me, I didn't have to see them. I didn't have to examine them. I could treat them based on their history. In 1996, I said every person comes to see me with a story of an illness, not history, as they have lived, experienced, and remember it. My duty is to listen and offer a solution, not a prescription. So the pharmaceutical companies are there with knife to kill me. Okay? Then I gave up and suddenly I had this intuition, 7I. What universe said is, innovation. Maya is my innovation. I tried to get it into NHS. They didn't like it. They harassed me for that, and they tried to discredit it. They made a little trouble for me. But I don't care. When I have a crusade, I am going. I expect people to harm me. I expect people to obstruct me. I expect people to destroy my passion. Yeah? Because that is what humans are. They don't want to change. They want things to exist as it was. because they're not ready to change. They think everything is going to continue like this for the next 100 years. So, innovation, integration, to initially identify infected individuals and isolate them. So the universe is saying you don't have a right to kill the germs either. You are born here to enjoy your life. You are a human being, run around, do what you want. Nothing is right, nothing is wrong. You want to have sex with 3 women, you have it. If you want to go and kill somebody because he is harming you, you do it. I am not here to judge you. Your soul says what? Do it. But the only rule you have to remember is you can do what you want, but you must not harm another living soul. What does that mean? I cannot go and kill an animal just because I have a double barrel gun in my hand. And I get pleasure out of it. No. You don't have a right to kill animals. You don't have a right to chop off the plants. Yes, you have to chop off the plants. That's why mantras are said. If you want to build a house, there is a mantra they do. Why? I asked this person, why should you do that? He said, we do that to ask the universe, please give me the permission because I'm digging holes here and the ant hill is there. That is like an ant kingdom. We are going to disrupt that. So we tell them, please excuse me, I have to build a house to live. So let me dig holes here and I'm going to disturb lots of life. And that is why Hinduism, we have all these rituals geared up towards universe, geared up towards how we should live in a symbiotic relationship. But now humans have become parasitic. We are sucking not only one another, we are sucking animals, we are sucking plants, we are sucking everything. I want it. Nobody, in India, the first shocking thing I had was to go to a shop and stand there. People come in, oh, dosa.
Correct.
I'm saying, what the hell is this? I'm standing and waiting. They don't consider traffic jam.
Nobody will.
Yesterday I was taking the pictures of the footpath. The whole junk is there in front, rickshaw repairing. I have to walk. I'm okay. God has given me good legs and I can't even walk straight. I look straight and go. In England I don't have to look down because I know that there won't be holes. Here half the time I'm falling down. Because I'm used to going like this and I don't have the habit. And this is what the problem in India is. They are so full of me. They've forgotten why you're here. But what we have to do is to educate them. So going to the doctor, you tell them, why do you go to the doctor? Oh, I don't have to worry, insurance company pays. Yeah, insurance company pays, but you come here, I'll give you the germs. Because I have seen it as well. When I do the clinic, there's a patient who comes there, sits in front, sir, doctor, illa kajji. He's doing this. Yes, put all the germs there. Then you come there and say, sir, hegidira. You got it. Yeah? I don't have the time to clean the swab. This. Adana one spirit telbutto diaphragm hingantanante. Adu diaphragm alli ಏನು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ? ಏನು ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ. Everything is there. ಅದು ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆನಲ್ಲಿ gaps ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು I cannot clean it. Okay? So the stethoscope, I swabbed it in UK, we can do that. Swab. 8 out of 10 stethoscopes are carrying superbugs. So when you go to see a doctor, he puts it there, is book on seal, like mudra harana anta hakadange hakadru. When once it gets in, it will not leave your body. And why it is important? When you are born, as soon as you come out of the uterus, that is the time the bacteria get into your body. The bacteria are not there inside a fetus. Why? Because there is a urinary bladder, membrane is there. Bacteria can't go in. The uterus protects the fetus. Only thing which transfers through the umbilical cord are immunoglobulins. Not all the immunoglobulins. Chicken pox hoಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ measles ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಂಥದ್ದು. Some, not all, because there are big immunoglobulins. So what happens is when the fetus baby comes out, head comes out, the bacteria in the vagina in the mother colonizes. And then when the head comes out, it gets into the nose everywhere and they are colonized with the bacteria of the mother. That is forms the gut flora. ತಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ, ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ಒಳಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಹೊಟ್ಟೆನಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುತ್ತದು, ಸಾಯ ತನಕ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. They are your bodyguards. They protect your body from other pathogens.
Okay, doctor, here one question.
Yeah.
Now, most of the birth is taking place
Hmm.
through the operation. What is that operation called?
Cesarean. Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
that child will get this protection?
Right. I'll tell you. Now, the practice in most of the Western countries, if a baby is born by section, they take the vaginal secretion and smear it on the baby. Okay? Nobody believed this when I was talking about it 20 years ago because they couldn't understand that hypothesis. So, what happens is the fetus, you are colonized. How do I know it is the mother's colony? When you look, look at the examples. If you have a friend of yours who's a successful businessman, he is rich, he is educated, he is successful. Because he is successful, he often has a very pretty looking wife. But she's only pretty, she's good at makeup and things like that, she enjoys her life, partying and all that. You look at the children will be riffraffs, they'll be drug addicts, all sorts of mischief. We always look at this father and said, too educated fellow, makal nodrela dari agbididare. But nobody realizes that actually the problem is not the boy, because the problem is the germs which have gone into the baby. When he comes out, mother's germs have come in. She's completely a thick lady. She's good looking, pretty, everything, but she doesn't, intellectually she's not good. So the germs in her are not good. So they go in. The father is intellectually, his germs doesn't. Little bit of transfer occurs, but not that much. Illa sir, this is they are trying to figure it out right now. Okay, how did they start figuring it out? When I said the mother's genes comes in, mother's bacteria, then what happened is they started trying to analyze what kind of bacteria are there in our body. So they took lesbians. Because lesbians, I believe, changes partner more often than the men, gay fellows. Yes. So it was a very good example, a sample to test. So if a girl is with one girl, they swapped the vagina and colonized the bacteria. When they swapped another partner, they colonized the same thing. And they found that when these two people are together, they are almost similar bacteria. When they swap, one is different from the other one. There is a difference. That's why I experimented this with children. What happens is children used to come to clinic saying that the child has got behavioral problem. He's becoming violent, he's not studying, he's beating up other boys, he's hyperactive. So they expect medicine to cure them. Okay? So there is one drug called Ritalin which we used to give, but nothing but dextroamphetamine. It's a mood suppressor. That used to calm them, but they were not cured. It's a symptomatic treatment. Then I suggested the parents, couple of parents who are nice, I said, look, let's experiment one thing. Your son is in the school, but in the school there are kids who are very intelligent. Okay? They're very intelligent, they go study, they do violin, really, you want your son to be like that. So what you do is, invite those parents to your house for dinner. Make friends with them. And when you make friends with them, the boys also come to your house. Your son will mix with this boy, whether he likes it or not. So repeatedly, if you are entertaining them, repeatedly he gets bacteria from that boy into this boy. See whether the behavior changes. And it did. There's another friend of mine who was having a lot of problem with the family because he was drinking alcohol every evening. His wife was against it. These Indian women are always drink means finished. So he was really suffering. He's 74 years old and he suffered for about 20 years. He said, I can't even sleep properly these days because the nagging is too much. I said, be like me, swap the wife. But he is not. He's not that strong to say. I said, look, you have to tell your wife, you can't live with me, I can't cope with you. So let's start life in a different way. Because I don't want to live and suffer every day. So then I told him, this is not the way you do it. What you should do is, you're not sleeping well, okay? All these problems. So what whiskey do you drink? He told me, any whiskey is okay. Every day I need it. I said, okay, try to go on to wine. He said, I can't do it. I'm so used to this. And he enjoys it. I said, okay, stick to one brand. He said, why? I said, I want to see what happens. 3 weeks later, he called me. I've never slept so well in my life until now. So you are my guru. Every evening he calls me. I'm not joking. For the past 3 years, he thinks I'm his guru. So I said, that's interesting, isn't it? Then he asked me to explain it. I said, yes. Your bacteria are used to certain kinds of yeast because alcohol is made up of yeast. They are friends. They are happy. They talk to one another. This okay. But new kind of whiskey is done with a different yeast. So that yeast and this bacteria are not friendly. They're fighting with one another. So they're producing more gas. And the gas bloats up. Your mind is completely cuckooed. You can't sleep. You're getting all this tension. Yeah. But just changing that little thingy. Because I understand bacteria well. You see, I have observed them so much. I can change everything by just changing the bacteria. So is there any question now? Sorry, I've been rattling around. So tell me, is there any question which may come into your mind?
We are more or less happy to listen you that it is nothing but good experience to
How
us.
much experience you have got? By
Yeah, 40
noticing
years, I have not taken care of my family. I have not taken care of my money. I have not taken care of anything about myself.
Okay, doctor.
Dedicated to
We
this.
have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And regarding your thing, what I felt after listening to you, ignorance is bliss.
Absolutely. That's why I am mad. Because I have so much knowledge. What do you think? 80 years old, I'm just going around the country telling people this is not the way to do it.
Yeah.
Who has the guts and the patience to do it? You tell me.
Because we were so happy sitting here, talking to people, going around, because we didn't have this knowledge of what you expressed now.
Yes. This is
now
the
we
truth.
are start scared. We are scared. So that is why.
No, scared is not what I expect you to have. Do you know why? Hinduism says, if you want to live happily and die happily, the one and the only thing you have to conquer is fear.
Correct.
The child comes out of the uterus, you should see the fear in the face. You have to be the one who picked the baby and the baby opens the eyes. And I had the fortune, I was fortunate enough to see this fear in the baby. If the baby doesn't cry, I used to give one smack on the bottom and they breathe. Everything is okay in 1980s. 1990s, no, you can't beat it. It's NAI, non-accidental injury. So what will happen? I can't beat them. So if they don't breathe, I have to give push oxygen. Yeah? If you give too much oxygen, the baby won't breathe. Why? Because
it is not.
it's not stimulated. If you get carbon dioxide, only then you start gasping. You close your nose, then you start breathing faster. Because you're deprived of oxygen. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಹಸಿವೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಮಲಗೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Then I have to put a ventilator. ವೆಂಟಿಲೇಟರ್ ಹಾಕಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಹೋಯ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಯಿತು ಎಲ್ಲ ದಾರಿ. ಒಂದು ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಬದುಕಿರೋದು. And we are overcrowded, we have too many. Yeah, they are giving too many people vaccine, using ventilation. ಇವಾಗ ಕೋವಿಡ್ಗೆ ಹೋದರೆ ಕ್ಯಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಅದು ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟು ಇಲ್ಲ, ನನ್ನ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಟಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕೋದು. Yeah, they haven't understood that tick is a bloody nightmare. When your oxygen is gone down, your circulation will also be altered. Yeah? And the hemoglobin is trying to take more oxygen. Instead of taking 2 molecules of oxygen, it takes 4 molecules of oxygen, circulating like nobody's business. So, but the carbon dioxide doesn't come out because they're not breathing. So carbon dioxide builds up. But the oxygen saturation is okay because they're carrying too much oxygen. Oxygen saturation is okay, no problem. ಅವನು ಸಾಯ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಮೀಟರ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಜನ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Correct.
ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸಡನ್ ಆಗಿ ಅವನು ಅಲ್ಲ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ ವೆಂಟಿಲೇಟರಲ್ಲಿ. ವೆಂಟಿಲೇಟರ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಯೂಶಲಿ ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಟೇಕ್ ದೆಮ್ ಔಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅರ್ಲಿಯರ್ ದೆನ್ 3 to 4 days. ಸ್ಟೆರಾಯ್ಡ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡೋದು. ಸ್ಟೆರಾಯ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಗುಡ್. ಸ್ಟೆರಾಯ್ಡ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾಗಿಲು ಹಾಕಿದೆ, ಬಾಗಿಲು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಗಾರ್ಡ್ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಯಾರು ಬರದೇ ಇರೋಂಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಯುವರ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಗಾಟ್ ದಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಡಿಫೆನ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಯು ಕಾಲ್ ಆಸ್ immunity. Immunity is a subject which not any doctor or professor knows exactly what it is. They all talk immunity, boosting immunity. They don't know what immunity is. I have tried to figure it out, but how it works we don't know. So ಗಾರ್ಡಿಗೆ ಏನು ಸ್ಟೆರಾಯ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಟಿ, ದಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲಮೇಟರಿ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್. ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅದು ಸಂಡೇ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಬರ್ತೀಯ ಓದಿತೀನಿ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ದ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲಮೇಷನ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ವಾರ್ ಇಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ದ ಜರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿ ಬಾಡಿ ಡಿಫೆನ್ಸ್ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್. ಸೊ ಗಾರ್ಡ್ ಫಿಯರ್ ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ಗಾರ್ಡ್ ಇರ್ತಾನಲ್ಲ ಅವನು ಹಿ ಸಪ್ರೆಸ್ಡ್, ಕೈ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ anti-inflammatory. Okay, inflammation is a reaction to an insult. Disease alla. Inflammation is a reaction to insult. I will slap your cheek and you get inflamed. There is no bugs. Everybody says infection. You ask 100 doctors, 99 will say inflammation. Oh, infection. Infection is different from inflammation. Okay, inflammation, one of the causes is infection. Kapala kodade bantu. Magu alutte kirchutte. ಅದು ಕಿರ್ಚಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೇಮ್ಡ್. ಬಾಡಿ ಮೆಟಬಾಲಿಕ್ ರೇಟ್ has gone up, heart rate has gone up, breathing is fast, the whole body is inflamed. You are walking in the street, or the girl walks on the street, she looks at a boy, says, oh, he's hot. Yeah, he's hot. Why? She is inflamed. She gets inflamed. Low. Yeah? Everything in our body is an inflammation. So, inflammation suppression ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ you are in trouble. So that's why you have to be very careful how you deal with every illness, including cancer, because that's also an inflammation. We have to just learn how to manage inflammations. And inflammation, as I said, is a reaction to an insult. Okay? So until now you have understood the difference between bacteria, because this is a basic thing you have to know if we decide to move forward. Because once I finish this, I'll be telling you how we do the next stage, move forward. Because we have to be very careful how we deal with this. If I go around blabbering this everywhere in the doctors' community, they will not appreciate this. They will criticize me, because I have tried it here in Fortis Hospital. When I talked about infection with Sridhar and America, we came in. When I was talking about infection spreading, this was about 10 years ago, there was a professor who stood up and he said, no, that's not okay. You have to do the umbilicus like this. You have to do like this. I was thinking, what the hell is, which country does he come from? He's bloody professor. He's a very famous professor. His name is there on the newspaper all the time. He doesn't have the basic knowledge. But everybody listens to him.
Correct.
Because he is a big professor, comes in a big Mercedes car. Who am I? Hey, this little fellow who comes with the neat little shorts, he doesn't know anything. And if I tell them, oh, it's all there in England, we don't have that problem here. You can't. So we need to know.
Said the professor, I think you might have heard of one doctor.
Ayyo, gottu sir, nange channagi gottu. Manipal, I know.
What about your opinion on his talk?
It's synonymous to...
He talks, a little bit like me, but he didn't start as early as me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not into
But
publicity
what he talks is
work.
proper?
He talks, some are okay, some are all bullshit. Yeah, but he doesn't talk about Hindu culture and Hindu festivals associated with health. Why do you put tulsi in front of your house? Why do we have Varama Lakshmi Ruta? Why do you celebrate the Deepavali? Why do you have a Navaratri? Everything has got medical reasons behind it, which are over the years you will get to know what it is. So there are things in India which have been told, but it has not been interpreted properly. Because there are people who talk about the Vedas, but there are not people who are medically experimentable. Like, I had a golden opportunity to experiment. Not everybody gets this opportunity. So I had an opportunity to experiment, see. Why should a person be doing Gayatri Japa? Why is that our ancestors said only men should do Gayatri Japa, not the women? Women were not supposed to do Gayatri Japa. Do you know that?
Yes.
In Upanayanam, when they tell it in the ears. Why? There is a reason behind everything in. People come and tell me, oh, Bhagavad Gita says so. You look at it in a nice, different way, it means completely different.
Correct, doctor, but over the generation, it got corrupted.
That's right.
Mutilated.
Majority of people say, my father also when he came to England, I said, Solpa hotel anna thinne, illa. I said, look, it's a bit of a problem. Switzerland, I can't get what you want, but why don't you? Illa. 70 ವರ್ಷ ನಾನು ಹೀಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಾನು ಇವಾಗ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. That is the problem. We have to just change. We must learn to disown the old fashion and look at it in a different angle. But how do you make people do that? Because now we've been told, scientifically, do you know how scientific research is done? I take 100 people, I collect data, and in that there is 1 or 2 which skews the result. In other words, I've given treatment for 100 people, same drug, same thing, and then I find that it is not statistically significant. It doesn't show that it is good. So I remove 2-3 patients out there who are skewing the result. I take them out. Nobody is there to check whether that is right or wrong. Nobody is going to ask. Nobody knows. Then I say, we sent questionnaires to 100 people. In that, only 87 people responded. Even 100 people have responded, but I've just thrown the 20 into the dustbin. In that 87 people, so much, statistically it becomes significant. Then I publish. He's a great scientist. Actually, it's wrong. That's what has happened. The protocols which we have developed, I was part of it. 90s, 80s nalli, we didn't have a standardized treatment. One person comes with urine infection. I gave him trimethoprim. Next one came in, I gave amoxicillin. Next one I came in, I gave him something else.
Person to person changes, like your fingerprint.
No, yeah. My habit is I think tetracycline is the best, so everybody gets tetracycline. Next fellow thinks amoxicillin is the best drug, he gives everybody amoxicillin. So when we have 7 SHOs, every night there's a different doctor. So each doctor does his own things. So I am there in the morning to ask, why did you give trimethoprim to this patient? So he says, this is the reason. So then I said, we'll look into our studies. So I said, one afternoon we sit, you bring all the urine infections in the last month, because we have record systems there, we could pick up the notes. Then we say, out of 20 patients we have here, how many people got tetracycline, trimethoprim? 3. How many had this? We collected the statistics. Was the urine checked? Yes, in 60%. Was the urine checked and the results acted upon? The urine is positive, but nobody has seen the result. So we started monitoring ourselves. The government took out these results from everybody, and they compiled the statistics of everybody all over England. And they came out with a result saying that 80% of the people with urine infection responded to trimethoprim. So the standard treatment is trimethoprim. Okay? And they called it evidence-based medicine. So as a layperson, you will think evidence means it has been stamped. Algorithm, that's it. If you go straight, right, left, you land up in bus station. That is algorithm, 100%. This is not like that. You go like this, suddenly something happens, you go that way. So you might have another infection which is not working in trimethoprim. So in 3 or 4 days' time, you land up in serious complication and you get kidney infection, you kidney failure, and you die. What will the doctor do? He says, I have given the treatment according to the protocol. It is evidence-based medicine, so it must be 100% correct. Judge, he's given the right treatment, so you're not okay. So these doctors are literally killing patients and licensed to kill. James Bonds of UK. Nobody can prosecute them, okay? Because they'll show this evidence-based medicine. The other thing is, even if I know that it doesn't work, I cannot do anything. Because if I don't give the treatment they suggested, they're going to crucify me. They'll find fault. They say, this fellow is bad. Come, inquiry. They will drive you mad. They did it for me. They made the nurses complain against me, they read this, and they sent me to the psychiatrist to see whether I'm mad. I told them, no, I'm not mad, I'm not depressed. But when I go and see these nurses who are complaining against me, my blood starts boiling and I get anxious. And a woman, they said, you are asking the women to undress to examine their chest. If a medical student is not undressing to examine the chest, we will fail him. Because if you put it on the clothes, you get clothes crumbs coming in. If you undress it, it's different. I had to ask a girl to undress because she was speaking like a man. She was shaking like this. I said, this is a disaster. Either she has thyroid problem or she has something else going on. What did the nurses do? They sent that patient to a speech therapist. That has 18 years old girl, beautiful girl with lots of makeup. So I told the mother I need to examine this girl. So when I undressed her, she undressed and she was lying down. I looked like this. And then when I was examining, her breast popped up because she had put such a tight bra because she was completely, she had a big bust. So I have a stethoscope. I usually don't touch the bottom of that breast because these fat ones, when there's a lot of ulcers there because of the this thing, the sweat there and the fungus grows there and it's very smelly as well. So I usually had a long stethoscope and I used to touch that. When I put it in, it popped up. And I almost bursted out laughing. But I had controlled myself. Why? Because she had shaved her breast like this, but on the nipple she couldn't shave because it's on. So she cut it like that. So it looked like a press. Like you heard of James Bond, there's a girl called Halle Berry who had a hair stuck up like that. It looked like that. Whoo! But I had to control myself. And then these nurses told, this fellow upset her because she's very upset. 6 months later, to find fault in me, he undresses everybody. And the girl is written, all the doctors and nurses who saw me never undressed me and examined me with the clothes on. That's why they all missed the hair in the bloody breast. You can't see any hair here, but when you open it, you can see easily brittles. And I sent her to the, the hormonal therapy people because she has got testosterone increased. I don't know what happened to her. But it put me in a lot of serious stress. Why? Because next woman he came in, I got chest infection, doctor, can you examine my chest? I am shaking like this. If I open her chest, bloody hell, this woman is going to complain. What do I do? See, doctors are not idiots. Oh yeah, put the stethoscope here. I can't really make out what's wrong with you. I'll send you for an X-ray. She doesn't need an X-ray. So what happens? That patient is spending another 3 days or 4 days to get the X-ray and come back before I give her a treatment. I'm not going to treat her because I can't write it in the notes. I examine the chest, there is scraps here or anything. Okay? So 3 days she might be dead also in 3 days because the pneumonia hits hard, she'll be dead. But I am safe. That's what the doctors are doing right now. They are just following the protocols. And whose life is at risk? Not theirs, yours. Today you may not, but tomorrow you will be. You must stop that kind of a approach. And honestly, when I went to England, I used to stand like that and talk to the patient. The patients are sick, dying. And the nurses said, Sri, you are not empathetic. I said, what do you mean by empathetic? Here, we don't go and cuddle the patient. John, how are you? You are all right. We don't do that. We don't touch these women. I am a Brahmin. And I've been told, keep your head down when you talk to a woman. Don't even look at their eyes. That is how I was trained as a child. So when I go to these white women, first they are white and then, in a way, I am really nervous. I'm standing there, telling them, I'm sorry, your child is very sick. The nurse said, this is ridiculous. This fellow is empathetic. Then I said, what can I do? I've been brought up like that. So those days, 1980s, the nurses were very nice. They said, Sri, we're going to train you. So every day when I went to the work, all the nurses come and cuddle me, one after the other. So that for me, breast pressing on my chest was uncomfortable. So I got used to it. No problem, everybody cuddling me. And now, 40 years later, the nurses are telling me I'm undressing to sweep the boobs. No, I am not. Every day, school examinations, I see hundreds of people naked. I'm not going to get tempted. When I'm working as a doctor, I'm in a different world. I'm not looking at them the way people imagine. And I have been penalized for that. Why? Because I'm standing up for myself. And that is the problem. Not everybody will have the guts to stand up against them, like me. They are all doing the same thing. And the whole system is going to collapse. Only way we can do is use the power of people to make them change. I cannot change the doctors. I am not joking. I finished 1999. I got fed up of seeing people dying in the hospital. All because the nurses haven't done well. And when I started complaining, I became a troublemaker. Yeah? They say, Sri comes here, you got to be very careful because he's observing all the time. Yeah? They're like this because I catch them. Hey, So they were creating havoc for me. So I said, oh, forget it. I didn't have children, I was not married, I was happy. I said, forget it. I'll become a little GP, work for 2-3 years, collect some money and go back to India and enjoy myself. I'm not going to work. I mean, I was earning a lot of money, okay, not lot pittance. If I saved all that, I would have probably had a palace over here. But I was not chasing money. So then, at that time, what happened is when I became a GP, you don't get a regular job straight away. You have to work temporarily in different clinics. Until then, I was only exposed to intensive care, where I used to go and see what the doctor has written, catch him what mistake he has done, and rectify it. Because if he has given amoxicillin to a patient with something which is not right, then I would tell him, look, that's not the right antibiotic, take it off, put this one now. So they were learning from me why I gave them the reason, like I'm telling you. I gave them the reason why amoxicillin should be given, not penicillin, why this should be given, everything I gave them the reason. So they learned from that. So what happened when I became a general practitioner, I had to go to see a patient, their patients. He is away, so I'm seeing all the patients in the morning 10, evening 10. These patients, most of them, when a doctor like me goes there as a locum, they are sick and tired of their own doctor. Because the doctor hasn't listened, he hasn't done the treatment they expected, or he has given the wrong treatment, they're not getting better. So they usually, as soon as a locum comes in, they rush in because it's a different doctor. Because second opinion is very difficult in England. You can't go to different doctors. Locum is the only opportunity. They get a different doctor. So they came. What is your problem? Because before they came in, I used to read the notes written by the regular doctor. And I am a fellow who picks up only mistakes. I've done it for 30 years. So the minute I read the notes, I know this fellow has done a mistake, that previous doctor. I can't tell the patient that. Because ethically, we are not allowed to instigate a litigation. I should speak to the doctor and tell him, hey, you have given this, that's what the patient is sick. How are you going to rectify it? I didn't tell the patient, but you have done a mistake now. What are you going to do? Then he has to explain, otherwise I report to the General Medical Council, this doctor is doing dodgy business here. So when I looked at it, and I found lots of mistakes. There were doctors who had written, chest clear for the past 20 years. When he came in, I asked him, okay, you saw previous doctor, what did he do? Oh, nothing, doctor. Before I came into the room, he was already writing the prescription. Did he examine your chest? No, doctor. I don't remember him examining the chest. I said, okay, let me listen to your chest. Go and shake in the chest. I put the stethoscope. His heart is not on the left side, it's on the right side. That's called situs inversus. This is one of them. Yeah? There are so many mistakes like this I started seeing. So in other words, family doctors are making serious mistakes. They are the ones who you encounter first. Yes. So if he is in this junction and he gives you a wrong direction, that way is Jayanagar, that day is Basungudi is that way, you will end up in Banergada Road and be totally lost. That is the main person I'm talking about. Because they are family practitioners. For sometimes you will say, oh, he is very good, he was treating my father, my grandfather, everybody, my family, everybody. You trust him. But he is a bloody useless fellow. You don't see it. I see it. Okay? In England, I had the opportunity to go through the notes. How many doctors in Karnataka are assessed by doctors like me? If you start a clinic over here, is there any way another doctor can go and see what he is doing? No. For last 10 years, he is giving the same medicine, same treatment, same things, and that's it. Evening he goes, enjoys his beer or whatever it is, having a party. Made a lot of money, he takes a car and goes on a holiday. He is not going to change. No matter who comes in, he is not going to change. Because his life is comfortable. So who is going to be in trouble? You. All of us, including me. So we have to think, how are we going to change the mindset of these Indian doctors? English doctors I tried, but there is a huge lobby. Yeah, they will not allow me to change them. I went to the health minister. I've written to all the prime ministers since Tony Blair. I have replies. Every person I wrote, I sent them copies of that book. Every president in the world and prime ministers got the first copy. 100 books came to me. 100 books I sent it by post from here to every prime minister, president, warning them about pandemics. In 2017, I've written an article explaining what's going to happen in the next 20 years. It's not nice. It's very scary. But they didn't care because they think the ego doesn't allow them. They think we can find the antibiotics. We have landed up in the moon. We have gone to Mars. Bloody idiots went to Mars and brought the germs from there. Went to moon, brought the germs. Send the germs from here, reorganized them, brought it back.
Very true. No doubt on it. Correct.
Okay? When they presented this in 1990s, I was shocked because the NASA did an experiment. They sent a bacteria called Salmonella typhimurium from Stanford University in America. They kept one here, breed in the space lab. 3 weeks later, they brought that specimen and compared with this. Salmonella typhimurium is a small bacteria like typhoid bacteria, but it is so stupid it doesn't infect anybody. It is usually present in baby food. The ones which came back, within 5 seconds, killed all the mouse.
The call to action: take back control. The healthcare system is failing, but you don't have to be a victim. With Dr. Maya GPT, you can take control of your health, reduce dependency on overburdened doctors, and make informed decisions without fear or anxiety. Try it today, see how it works, and take charge of your health before your next rushed appointment. Thank you for listening to the Dr. Maya podcast.